famous out there rapper, hip hop artist, as he'd like to call himself, an artiste.
Yeah.
And today this whole video is just us putting our thoughts out on there about it. And,
we're just gonna be reviewing the new Logic album, College Park.
It's gonna be like a discussion.
Yep.
So you, being the Logic fan, you obviously were more excited for this album, had more knowledge about this album, and are more knowledgeable about Logic as a whole. So what were your thoughts of the album?
Alright, so obviously we know Logic, right? He kind of got, I guess, kind of like pushed as like a meme, kind of, or like a joke in the hip hop industry after around 2017 and 19. And since then, he's gone independent last year, and now he's just kind of making what he wants to make. So overall thoughts on College Park? I really enjoyed the album. I think the production was very good. I really love all the beats on the songs. I think they're very, very good. And I just think he did a pretty good job with I guess managing his expectations and not really catering to anything specifically, saying like, oh, this has to be good. He just kind of wanted to make it for himself and what he thought.
See, my opinions on the album are a lot more negative than yours are. I really did not enjoy this album a whole lot. I think I will agree. Let me get the positives, my personal positives of this album out of the way first. I agree with you. I think the production is fantastic. I think every single beat, or almost every single beat, is just a complete hit. It's something that if you were to, have any other hip hop artist come up and listen to it, they'd be like, oh my gosh, I want to be on that, right?
Yeah.
And I think the production, the mixing is really good. It's an easy listen. Nothing sticks out more than it should. Everything blends into with one another well, and the features are terrific. The features are like absolutely insanely consistently good.
Yeah.
I wrote here in my little journal. He also has an ear for features, although most of the features on here are his hip-hop buddies from the good old days. They hold up well, and all the other feats are pretty good, great as well. From Seth MacFarlane, Seth MacFarlane on Self-Medication, which is a surprisingly fantastic fit for a style of song like that, which goes into production as well, because the production never takes a hit to make room for Seth MacFarlane. There's already room for him there, even though there's sort of two different styles going on with, in that song, especially hip-hop DJing with the scratches on Logic's voice, and Seth MacFarlane's singing over it. The production does not make any sacrifices. It's very consistent. And the other person I thought did really, really, really terrific was Norah Jones on Paradise 2.
Yep.
I think her voice just matches the perfect sort of melancholy feel that album is going for. I feel like I think it's this album. What I gleaned from it was the first half is more upbeat, and the second half is supposed to be a little more melancholic.
Yeah, we have songs like the intro, obviously, where it's like Logic's waking up to go to the show. Like that's
right.
We can bring up the whole concept of the album, which is he's in 2011 going to a show, and then.
But that's my first gripe with the album.
Yeah.
Is it's trying to be a concept album, and yet it never fully commits to its concept. It's supposed to be set in 2011, 2 years before the first release of his debut album. And it's talking about when he was doing smaller shows for smaller venues.
Yeah.
But almost all of the contents in this album have nothing to do with it. Every single bar, from what I heard, is talking about his current success, his current fame. He mentions his wife and his kid very consistently throughout this album, like a whole lot, I would say, to a point where the only thing keeping this together as a concept album is the skits. And I don't like the skits.
So here's what I think about the skits. I thought at first, my first few times listening to it, I was a pretty big fan of that. I thought they were pretty funny. But the issue is, after the first few times, they get old. They take away from the honestly pretty good songs.
Yeah.
But that's the issue I have. And as for like the idea of the concept not fully committing to it, I get that. Like he does say a lot of bars about like his current life, but I would say about half the time on most of the songs, they're in contrast to what his life was like. I would say in that first half of the album, like the more like positive like outlook, it's like almost like Logic channeling himself from 2011,
Right.
and he's trying to kind of push forward and like be like, hey, everything's gonna be all right, you're gonna make it. And then the
Right.
second half of the album, he kind of fills in the role more like, hey, I made it. But the issue is, it doesn't fully commit to the concept in the second half, I'd say.
I think this goes into a big problem that I have with Logic in of himself, which, despite his music and what he'd like you to believe, he has zero confidence in himself when it comes to trying something new. He's scared that if he doesn't rap about what he thinks people want him to rap about, nobody's gonna listen to it. People aren't gonna find it interesting. I mean, think of like Clone Wars 3, right? I don't like that song at all. I think it is, one, just boring. I think a lot of the content he raps about are just the same old, him falling back on those crutches of his hip hop ability. But then at the end, he has this really pretentious monologue talked to by this lady talking about the hood and the struggles of the hood. And it's like,
Yeah.
I don't get it, because you're not saying anything. You're actively saying nothing and going against your whole message in most all of these songs. And then you're going around and in your monologue skits that he has, which I find annoying. Going and saying and acting like he's making this big change, like he's helping in some huge grand way, and I don't feel that.
Well,
Village Slum.
that's an amazing song. That was one of my favorite.
You want to know why that's an amazing song? Because instead of talking about this vague, I was in the hood, I struggled.
He's like bringing up specific things.
He's bringing up specific things about himself.
like his alcohol, like
His
struggles with alcohol.
His struggle with alcoholism. He brought up his personal connections with poverty and with being in culture like that. He brought up alcoholism. I mean, there's a whole song about him. Every time he takes a sip of alcohol, he has survivor's guilt because he knows his family's been taken down by this serious issue. That, to put it shortly, College Park is a boring, basic album that has glimpses of who Logic really is, but is too afraid to show them. It is an album consistently carried by its features and production, and just isn't all that good. I think there are glimpses. It's this weird 4-track run of Shimmy, Paradise 2, Come On Down, and Village Slum. This 4-track run towards the end of the album that shows Logic.
Like who he is.
Like
on
who
the
he
inside.
is. It's not Playwright, where he goes, I'm a master of the pen and paper.
Yeah.
It's not a cruising through the universe, which is just talking about him waking up. It's not wake up, which is supposed to be this pseudo-positive thing. I love waking up every day. It's Logic. It's how he feels. And that's an interesting album. Those 4 tracks are 1 through 4 on my track list.
Like your favorites?
Yeah.
So I feel like we kind of have like our positives and negatives about the album. Do you want to kind of move into our favorite tracks? The song I have written down that I really liked was Lightsaber. I feel like
Really?
that song, it's like there is some like, obviously there's like some corny bars. It's like the very beginning's about like every day you wake up, that's a good day, which is obviously it's a good message, but it's kind of like annoying at first. And then, but I do think throughout the song's progression, like towards the end of it, it gets like really good like synths and horns on the production,
production,
which is very, very good.
Right.
And then the C. Castro feature, one of his friends, I think that's a
It's
really good feature.
Again, Logic consistently being outperformed by his features, in my opinion.
But I really think the second half of that song shines through. Oh, let's see.
But that Lightsabers was the first skit, right?
No, that first skit was Clone Wars 3 when they went to get food. But they ended.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's why.
But there was a really good transition where there's like, C. Castro was writing his verse at home, and then he's like, "Hello, I'm just finishing up this verse." Like when Logic calls him, saying he's on his way. Another good transition to like the next song.
Right. Quick skits.
Yeah.
Something quick, punchy. I'm fine with that. But
I just don't think he did it as well as he did in The Incredible True Story, which I think is a really good album. Because the skits were like completely separate, so you can just skip them if you want.
yeah, right.
Yeah, and then my second one that for like standout songs I wrote down was Village Slum. I think it's very, very good that like it's like personable, that he brought like his own personal like struggles, which he does, but the normally he just brings it in more of a basic way, but this was like very specific, and it's like, wow, like this guy was like, he really went through it.
This is real.
And it's like, he's talking about this, and maybe it's okay that I'm going through this, and I can make it through if he did.
Right. It's anybody can say that they grew up in the hood in poverty. I could do it.
I don't know
Give
about
me
that.
an 808 beats, I could rap about it. And it'd be no different than Logic rapping about it in terms of context and sub, and meat on that bone. It'd be the same song, but Logic introducing the element of personability, like you said, that's a fantastic word, personability, is what makes it good. It's in my top 5. No other one of these songs are, I would even say, are good. You know what I mean? Like, it's. I think there's a clear cutoff for my rankings, but I'll let you finish.
And then my last stand-up song was Lightyear, or like, I should say, the first 3 minutes of it. Because I just think, I really, like, I'm a very, like, just music-wise, I'm more of a fan of, like, not so, like, melodic and stuff like that. I'm more of a fan of, like, straight, like, lyricism and, like, bars. Which, like, that's more, like, I guess, like, J. Cole's kind of like that, Logic's like that. Like, I just like to listen to people rap fast. I think it's cool.
Yeah.
And he does that well.
That's something I wrote in my review as well. I wrote, what is it? So much that it's. Oh yeah, he has. I wrote that he has way too much confidence in himself and his abilities to the point that it's laughable. And he continues to stick with the "if I rap fast, that means it's good" mentality, or as I like to call it, the Eminem effect.
Well, so what I think it's a good contrast too in that song, where it's like, obviously we know about the skits. A lot of that last song is a skit, but he's talking about
Huge chunk.
But he's talking about I don't want to be known as this my whole life, and I think he's just now in his career trying to get into that state where it's okay to make whatever I want, and I think he's really kind of moving towards that now more than he has before.
But my biggest problem with that is he's already tried previous with I Don't Like Supermarket, and it flopped. It failed. And it obviously took a toll on him. He's now, I genuinely believe after that he's scared to do something like that ever again. And that's why he's sticking with hip hop. But if you want to do something different, don't make an entire album doing the same thing.
Like literally about your past, which is what you've been doing for the
Right,
past 10
and then
years.
do a half-assed last 3 minutes of an 8-minute track where you play the same 2 chords and then sing mediocrely. Like, you could, he obviously did not put much thought into that song. I feel like that's kind of easy to tell. He did not put much thought into that last little snippet of the song.
But I really think for what made Lightyear a standout song was that I really just like, he's just rapping really fast. He's like, I just think he's having fun with it.
Right.
With that first 3 minutes,
Right.
which is all about what I think he really wanted the album to be more fun, but he got that across in not as many songs as we would have liked.
So, in context, you're 3. I ranked Lightsabers 10th,
Okay.
Village Slum 4th, and Lightyear 12th.
All right. You didn't really like.
I think my biggest gleaming problem with Lightyear is like the first half is its production's fine, and again, fast rapping, whatever. Just middle of the road, whatever. Huge skit in the middle, talking about not wanting to do the same thing when he did the same thing for a whole album previous. That just frustrated me. And then a guitar part at the end, which really is not that good. Lightsabers is alright. It's again like it's ranked 10th out of 18th. It's just completely
I just think
middle of the road.
I think the second half of it is very, very good. I think it's one of the best productions.
Yeah, that is very fair. But onto my top 3. Pierce's top 3. I have number 1, or should I go 3 to 1 or 1 to 3?
3 to 1.
3 to 1. Number 3, I have Shimmy with Joy Badass. I think any song that has the JB on it is infinitely Justin Bieber. Joy Badass is gonna be infinitely just bumped up. Joy Badass is a terrific rapper. He is truly more of a hip hop artist than Logic is, which is the whole point of this album. But he fits the production super duper well. Again, going into the point of like features and how Logic has a real keen ear with features. I wrote down that every feature feels as if that person was in mind or that voice was in mind. You know? My number 2 is Paradise 2, but the first half.
Yeah, well, not the skit, obviously.
I took, for every single one of these reviews, I took skits in a hand. The ones with skits are super low. But Paradise 2 was just so good.
It's a beautiful song, like
That-
Laura Jones's verse.
I had to separate it.
Yeah.
I had to separate it. So the first half of Paradise 2, again, production-wise, is really nice. And again, yeah, Norah Jones, she just glides perfectly over this album or this track, and it is a perfect fit for a style of song like that. I think truthfully, I love it when singers have roles in hip hop because it's a direct contrast. You have hip hop, which is this very rhythmic, percussion-esque style. You know, you think of like the Kendrick Lamar on All Right, and how in one of those verses he's acting as a tom-tom in a drum. That's what he's rapping. That's what his voice is producing, and having a singer on there with singing is very melodic. It's a direct contrast. It's a great contrast too. You know what I mean? I think Logic is good on it. It's one of the tracks where Logic's actually I enjoy Logic's verse.
It's not necessarily he's talking about him in 2011, but he's talking about him like currently in his life,
right?
How he feels, but it's still like real,
right? It's still him putting effort into making himself known. Yeah. And my number one track of this whole album, I think it's the only exceptionally good track on this album, is Come On Down. I think Come On Down is terrific. I think it is the best produced song on here. Its beat is almost hypnotizing. It's so fun. It had me bouncing. It had me, leaning with the production. It was just so enjoyable to listen to and invigorating. And that's what music should be.
And it's like about the music industry,
right? And
it's like something Logic has like
dealt
like I would say very heavily. It's like like he was excited to get into a deal, obviously, in like around 2014, 13.
Right.
But then he learned to he just didn't like Def Jam Records anymore.
No, the music industry is consistently talked about negatively. And, you know, I mean, it's a relatively new take. So I'm fine with Logic saying the same stuff on a song like this. But yeah, that's my top three. Shimmy, Paradise 2, the first half, and Come On Down. And what are your bottom three? Do you have a bottom three?
So I would have to say, for me, I had quite a few, or I didn't have quite a few. I only had a couple, like 2 or 3 skips that I honestly didn't really like. I would say one I didn't like was Red Pill 7.
That is number 15.
I just felt like it's just like forgettable. It's like there's nothing standout about it. It's boring.
Very boring.
Like I didn't write down anything about why I hate it. It's just like the song is just like, I feel like it's the most generic on here. Like
Absolutely.
I would say probably the most generic. Then another one I wasn't really a huge fan of was High Life. Like, just kind of boring. It's like basic.
Right. It's painfully boring. Like a lot of these songs towards the bottom I got mad at. I was like, this just isn't good. But High Life, it was just so painfully boring. I'm like, I don't want to listen to this. I listened to the album 3 times in a row. That was the song I dreaded the most on my re-listen. I was like, I gotta listen to High Life again.
I wasn't a huge fan of Incipio.
Really?
I just wasn't a huge fan of it. I don't know why.
Really? I liked Incipio a lot.
It's just like, I'm not a big fan.
That's fair.
That's fair. I can't exactly remember what songs are around it, but I feel like, well, isn't it like, isn't it, I think it's right before or right after
Self-Medication. Right after Self-Medication. It's Self-Medication, then Incipio.
Yeah, I just like Self-Medication better. I like the production better compared to Incipio. For me, I was just...
Those are interchangeable for me, Incipio and Self-Medication, because I think past Self-Medication, like, in terms of what's a good track, what's a med track, the top set, Come On Down, Paradise 2, Come On Down's the only great song on here, I believe. Then like Paradise 2, Shimmy, Village Slum, Gaithersburg, and Incipio and Self-Medication are good. Yeah. And then after that, and then it just gets worse from that point on. Like AO, the Coordinate Song, Lightsabers, Cruising Through the Universe.
I didn't hate AO. I thought it was kind of like a chill beat.
Yeah,
I thought the production was really good.
I wasn't expecting Incipio. I really liked the production of Incipio, and I thought it was just
like meh for me.
That's fair.
What were your least favorite?
So my third least favorite was Clone Wars 3. Boring song with a skit that I did not enjoy at all. I think, again, for Logic going, oh yeah, I rap this positivity, and almost every single one of his skits, if not every single one of his skits, includes constant sexualization of women, making fun of his friends for being fat, unfunny jokes that, entirely just use race or identity, does not fit what, the positivity Logic. So that's why Clone Wars 3 is number 3 for me. I hate the skit, the fast food skit. It's just boring. It's unfunny. Having that fat dude fantasy.
I thought that was pretty funny.
Just
It's just like a
weird.
goofy thing.
Just weird. Second to last was Paradise 2. The skit of Paradise 2.
Yeah.
Worst skit on here. By far. That's the gas station
gun
robbery.
robbery one.
Starts off making fun of his friend for being fat. Immediately. Goes in the gas station. Guy hits on the lady at the cash wrap really weirdly. Guy robs the store.
And shoots himself.
Yeah, Logic's the hero.
But he's not
Trips
really.
him.
It's more like he kind of stumbled.
It's more
into it.
CDOT or whoever the other guy is.
I don't know.
And then Dead Last High Life. Just boring. Just a song that if it were put on, I would zone out of it immediately. At least with these other songs like the Paradise Skit, Clone Wars, I'm
The
gonna
song
be
was
paying
pretty
attention
okay
to
before
it.
that.
I'm gonna be paying attention to it because it's so insane. It's entertaining still because I get to be angry at it. High Life is just so nothing. It's just such a nothing song. This album does not change at all if this song is on or is not on it. Like there's just nothing that changes.
Yeah. So, overall, what score do you think I give this album?
I think you're gonna give this album like a 7 or an 8.
Okay, I'll say right now, I give it a 7.
7?
So I think biggest thing that carries the album is the production. I think the production is like a 9 or a 10.
Production is
Like
perfect.
I think Logic always like hits well with his production.
I think only songs I didn't really like the production was High Life. I thought the High Life production was just boring, but that goes along with the other thing. AO was kind of whatever in terms of production, and Red Pill was just.
But I still feel like what I will say though, Logic is doing something like a lot of other rappers aren't doing. He's putting out like a genuine album, I guess. And while a lot of other artists like Drake for his last couple albums, it's literally like a mixtape essentially.
Yeah,
And I said
just with a common theme.
it's just I would say he's putting in more effort in the sense that he's trying to make a complete entity.
Right, he's trying
Where,
to
like,
make it.
A lot of other people like don't necessarily do that. I would say the only other person that still like does that's like really well known is probably Kendrick.
Yeah,
Like a genuine like
Kendrick
theme
makes albums.
throughout.
You know, Kendrick, Kanye.
I'd say he's really like bringing it back from like that 2017 to 2019 where he like fell off. Like he had a lyric about it in Lightyear. 2019 I got wrote off, but I'm bringing it back into focus.
Yes.
So I would say that is true. He's like 2020 he came out with No Pressure. That was pretty
Which was good, which everybody enjoyed, and it's a good album. It's a good album.
And now I would say this album is kind of like the since he's now independent, it's almost like the start of something. Like from now on, he's going to just kind of make whatever he wants.
Well, if it's the start of something, it's a very sloppy start.
Okay.
And I really hope that he doesn't. I really hope that he just has confidence in himself.
Alright. What'd you give this album?
I would give it like a 4 or 5. The production can only carry you so far. It's the only thing that took me across this album from start to finish. Again, I listened to it 3 times fully. Was the production. Just listen to beats. Beats are great, but Logic comes on and then I'm like, I don't want to listen to this song anymore. But there are glimpses. There are glimpses of a genuinely good album. I would say 5, middle of the road. I think this is a completely middle of the road.
It's neutral.
Whatever.
It's a mid.
Yeah, it's just a mid album. It's not bad. Production's too good for it to be bad. The features are too good for it to be bad. But it's not good.
Yeah.
There are only like 5 songs that I would say are genuinely really good. Like, Self-Medication is like 7 on, this album. But if it was on like a Tyler album, it'd be towards the bottom. Like it's all about perspectives and putting up context. But
I like a lot of his stuff, but that's he's a style of like music I like. We obviously like different styles of music, and I would say overall, album's solid. I like it. I would say it's not as good as like No Pressure and The Incredible True Story, but I would say it's definitely a lot better than like Everybody.
Supermarket.
Well, we don't even have to count that Supermarket.
Yeah, that's
It's
out
better
of the
than
question.
like Confessions of a Dangerous Mind. Where it was just like that was a really
Was
corny album.
it Confession the one with Eminem?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't hate that song overall, but I think
It's alright.
Every other song on that one is a miss.
Yeah.
So, overall, Logic's making music.
He sure is.
I think that's all you can say about it.
If I were to sit down with him in this situation, he was right there, and I were to give him some advice, I'd go, Logic.
Do you?
Yeah, do you, and then don't say you're doing you when you're not.
Yeah.
Because you're not. He says he wants to play guitar, then play guitar for an album, dude. Don't make a boring hip hop album. And then in that boring hip hop album, go, oh man, I wish I was doing something different. You're the one making the album. It's like complaining about your Subway sandwich, dude. You made the sandwich.
So there actually was a thing. The half, apparently it was supposed to be like double the length, and the other half was supposed to be like a lot more like Supermarket in the sense that it was like indie. You know what I mean?
He should have done that. Again, that goes with my 3 more tracks, 10 and 10. 10 hip hop, 10 indie rock. Just to show. Okay, if you like the first half of this album, then listen to the first half, first disc. If you like the second half, listen to the second disc. It's as easy as that.
But I would say overall, the biggest statement you can make about this, Logic's not retired and he's still making music. So
yeah, he's still going at him.
Yep.
So, and for a person like you, that's all you can hope, right?
Yeah. All right. What do you guys think? Do you like the album? Did you not even care and you just wanted to watch me and Chris talk about music for half an hour?
Or did you think this video was going to be a lot more interesting and you watched it and realized that it's just boring? Leave it in the comments.
Yeah.
Like or dislike it if you want. I don't really care.
Yeah.
We're not trying to make money off of this or nothing.
We're just doing it for fun.
We're
gonna be doing it with no pressure too. Under pressure. The Incredible True Story.
Supermarket.
Sure.
All of them.
Yep.
Every Logic album.
So be on the lookout for that. All right. Thank you guys.